the experts that you went to, we're not surprised that they waffled and they wiggled, but they were actually like offended at you just kind of following up. And you had your same affect and your same manner that you have here. You're very matter of fact. I was thinking, I like this guy. I like the way you do your interviewing. I'm definitely more emotional. I'm more passionate, half Italian, half Irish. It's that kind of combo. I know you got some Irish in there, but I like how you just didn't show your cards, but still they were getting so angry. They were getting so annoyed at you. Especially the blonde guy at the University of Tennessee, Patrick Zanka, right? Zanka? Okay. He did not like you, Matt. I think you would concede that. And is this the one, soundbite 19, where they kind of, oh, no. Actually, first, let's show him trying to answer what is a woman and what he does to you. This is soundbite 16.
You just really don't want to answer the questions, do you?
I came today very willing and enthusiastic about answering questions about women's and gender sexuality studies, which is the work that I do.
You wanted to answer questions about women's studies, and so shouldn't the first answer you should be able to provide is what exactly is a woman?
Well, for me, it's actually a really simple answer, and that's a person who identifies as a woman.
But what are they identifying as?
As a woman.
But what is that?
As a woman.
So circular and frustrating.
Yeah, around and around we go with these circular answers. That was really the answer from all of the so-called experts. When it came down to it, it was always, woman is anybody who identifies as a woman. Well, what is that? What are they identifying as? I mean, it's actually a sincere question too, because when for example, a man says, I identify as a woman, the point of asking what is a woman is it's a way of asking, well, what do you mean? What are you trying to say about yourself exactly when you make that statement? Can you just explain it a little bit? I want to know. I want to understand. And they do get offended by it. And that's, I talked about the fear from the just average Joes on the street, some of them. But the so-called experts, there was definitely fear also there because they didn't want to answer questions. But from them, I got a lot of anger because from their perspective, this is not how a conversation is supposed to go, especially if they're talking to some flannel-clad, bumpkin like myself. I'm supposed to just sit there while they make their proclamations and declarations, and I'm supposed to sit there kind of slack-jawed and just listening and nodding my head and saying, okay. The moment you ask any question whatsoever, it's actually offensive because it's like, well, how dare you question me? How dare you express skepticism in anything I'm saying? That's another thing that was a little bit of a revelation, is that before we embarked on making this film, I knew that the what is a woman question would be a real stumper for some of these people, even though it shouldn't be. But what I didn't quite realize is that actually any question at all is a stumper for them because they don't want to answer any sincere question. If you're asking a sincere question about their worldview, a sincere question as in there's some skepticism, you're asking the question because you're questioning what they're saying. Any question along those lines, doesn't matter what it is, they don't want to answer, and they'll get very angry that you are asking it.
Well, case in point, we didn't cut this one, but I watched it last night with my husband, and this was his favorite. His favorite was when you interviewed Congressman Mark Takano, Democrat of California, first openly gay person of Asian descent in Congress. He ended the interview when you started asking about bathrooms, and you could tell he was upset. And he was saying, like, I can't believe you're taking this to the bathroom place instead of focusing on the basic rights of this life. So, like, for you to even bring up, what about women who don't want to see a naked penis in the bathroom or in the locker room? For you to even go there was judged inappropriate. That's not even the proper question. It's about a trans person's need to live a, quote, normal life.
Yeah, and I agree with your husband, too, by the way. That was actually my favorite interview to do just because it was so... maybe it's my sadistic side of me, but he was just so uncomfortable. And plus, he's a politician. I'm not a big fan of politicians. So, and you could tell me, we sat there and talked for a while, and he wanted to get up and leave the moment he realized that I was going to ask real questions. And he still sat there for a while before he finally did storm out. But the question that I was asking him when he did finally leave was obviously totally legitimate, and it was a policy question, right? Because we were talking, he's an advocate of the Equality Act, which would be a federal law that just basically encodes gender ideology, imposes it on a federal level across all states and localities. And that would mean, among other things, that now, according to the federal law, biological males they now have a human right to access female spaces. That's what the Equality Act would declare. So my question was, well, what about, I understand what you're saying is that there are males who would feel uncomfortable if they're not given access to those spaces. What about the women who are uncomfortable sharing those spaces with males? Like, what about, how do you factor that in? How do you weigh that? Totally fair question. And, he didn't want to answer that at all.